If you're interested in ancient stories and legends, subscribe to the channel and enjoy the tales.
The Tooth Fairy. Legend, traditions, and mysteries. The Tooth Fairy is a magical character well known in the culture of English-speaking countries. According to ancient beliefs, when a child loses a baby tooth, they should place it under their pillow before going to bed. During the night, the fairy comes and leaves a small gift in its place, most often money or a treat. Sometimes it's believed that the fairy can take the form of a parent to avoid scaring the child if they wake up and see a stranger. But what actually happens to those teeth after the fairy takes them? There are many different versions. Some say she builds a magical castle out of the purest, whitest teeth. Damaged or decayed teeth are used to pave roads, since they're considered less valuable. That's why children may receive a greater reward, either in money or small surprises, for healthy teeth. But there are darker legends as well. According to some tales, the fairy feeds on these teeth to strengthen her own bones. Another version claims that each tooth contains a fragment of the child's soul, and by collecting them, the fairy grows stronger by absorbing the children's energy. This tradition has become a kind of rite of passage, a symbol of growing up. In the 20th century, especially through films of the 1950s featuring kind fairies like Cinderella's fairy godmother, the popularity of this magical, or not so magical figure, only grew. Today, almost every child knows what to do when a tooth falls out. Place it under their pillow and wait for a pleasant reward in the morning. Some even get creative to speed up the process, like tying the tooth to a doorknob and slamming the door shut. But where did this story come from? Let's dive into the origins of the legend. Throughout history, children in different cultures have gotten rid of their baby teeth in various ways. In Europe and North America, people believed that if a tooth was offered to a mouse, an animal with strong teeth, new teeth would grow in strong and healthy. Some Native American tribes buried baby teeth in sacred places, hoping for good luck or future health. In Tibet, a special ritual was practiced. The tooth was ground into powder and scattered to the wind. In other cultures, teeth were turned into amulets or even jewelry. In some places, they were fed to animals, most often dogs, believing that this would ensure the new teeth would be strong and sharp. But regardless of the rituals, the goal was always the same: to help the child move through an important stage of growing up and prepare for the arrival of stronger adult teeth. The origins of the Tooth Fairy, from fairy tale to cultural symbol. The image of the Tooth Fairy can be traced back to an old French fairy tale from the 18th century, titled La Bonne Petite Souris, the Good Little Mouse. In this story, an evil monarch traps a queen, and a tiny mouse comes to her rescue. It turns out the mouse is actually a fairy in disguise. She not only saves the queen, but also knocks out the tyrant king's teeth and hides them under his pillow before his death. Admittedly, it's not the most typical bedtime story. Later, the tale was adapted and translated into English, gaining a new wave of popularity. However, the image of the fairy as a tooth collector wasn't widely known yet. Her true moment of fame came only after World War II. How the modern tooth fairy came to be. After the war, the standard of living in the US rose significantly. Parents could now reward their children not just with kind words, but with small monetary gifts. The image of the Tooth Fairy became firmly embedded in family traditions as a sweet way to mark the loss of a baby tooth, an important transition in a child's life. The media played a big role in spreading this image. In the 1950s, films introduced audiences to kind magical characters like Cinderella's fairy godmother and Tinker Bell. All of this helped cement the myth of the Tooth Fairy in the public consciousness. Up until the year 2000, there was even a real Tooth Fairy museum in Deerfield, Illinois. The exhibits included drawings, books, and rare artifacts, like little boxes containing baby teeth, illustrating how the perception of this character evolved over the years. Although the story of the Tooth Fairy originally took shape in the United States, her influence quickly spread beyond the country. Today, visits from the fairy bearing gifts are familiar to children in the United Kingdom, Canada, Ireland, Australia, and other countries, where candy or coins can be found under a child's pillow in exchange for a lost tooth. Different cultures have marked the loss of baby teeth in unique ways, creating their own rituals and beliefs. But the phenomenon of the Tooth Fairy has truly become a global one. From movie screens to toothpaste packaging, her image continues to live on, inspiring both children and adults to turn an ordinary moment into a magical story. If you're fascinated by ancient tales and legends, subscribe to the channel and enjoy the stories. The mystery of the Tooth Fairy. Who hides behind the legend? Who really stands behind the image of the Tooth Fairy, this nocturnal visitor who takes baby teeth and leaves coins or sweets under children's pillows? According to modern interpretations, she is a fantastical and magical being, capable of flight, shape-shifting, and moving unseen. However, her roots run much deeper, into ancient beliefs and dark myths. From Vikings to witches. Where did the idea of gifts for teeth come from? The tradition of exchanging teeth for money dates back to Scandinavian customs. Vikings believed that children's teeth brought luck in battle and made amulets from them, which they wore around their necks. These charms were meant to protect them in combat and grant strength. In medieval Europe, however, a more ominous belief was widespread. If a witch got hold of someone's tooth, she could gain complete power over that person. Because of this, people tried to hide or destroy their lost teeth. Thankfully, it was the image of kind fairies, not witches, that reached modern times. An appearance full of secrets. The Tooth Fairy's appearance remains a product of wild imagination. In different cultures and works of fiction, she is portrayed in various ways. A tiny winged girl, a floating ballerina, a small dragon, even a chubby man with a cigar. In some versions, she is not one person at all, but two old folks who collect teeth together. In English folklore, the fairy is linked to the Fae, tiny magical creatures no more than 60 centimeters tall, with translucent wings, slender fingers, pointed ears, and fangs. It is said their bodies are dusted with a kind of pollen that has a mild narcotic effect. Perhaps it helps ease the pain when a tooth falls out. Although the fairy is traditionally shown in female form, it is not known what gender these beings truly are, or if they even fit into such categories. They may exist entirely beyond them. A dual nature. Despite her friendly image in modern stories, the Tooth Fairy's origin in the world of the Fae hints at a more unpredictable side. These creatures, according to ancient beliefs, were known to play tricks, tangle hair, steal small items, and lure people off safe paths. Some legends even claim that the fairy might gleefully pull out a tooth from a particularly fussy child. In Norse mythology, fairies were considered dangerous spirits capable of stealing children and Earth as protection. European practices. For centuries in Europe, there was an interesting custom of burying fallen baby teeth in the ground, as if planting seeds. This symbolized hope that a new tooth would grow, just as seeds sprout. Teeth were also hidden in the earth as a form of protection. A belief held that if a witch got hold of the tooth, she could use it in witchcraft. If this happened, there was a special method to nullify the curse. One had to find the tooth and burn it in fire, thereby destroying the dark magic. French origins. The tooth-collecting mouse. It is believed that the tradition of exchanging a tooth for a gift originated in France. Children would place their tooth in a shoe or slipper, and at night, la petite souris, a little mouse, would come to take the tooth, and leave a coin in its place. This character later became the predecessor of the Tooth Fairy. In the original version, it wasn't a magical woman, but a rodent with mystical qualities. American reinvention, birth of the fairy. By the early 20th century, the tooth for gift tradition crossed the ocean to the United States. There, it took a new form. Instead of a mouse, a magical fairy would now collect the tooth, which was placed under a pillow instead of in a shoe. The first literary mention of the Tooth Fairy appeared in a children's play in 1927, after which her image spread rapidly across the country, becoming part of national folklore. Medieval England and afterlife fears. English folklore offers a different perspective on baby teeth. In the Middle Ages, parents would often burn them, fearing that, otherwise, the child's soul would be doomed to eternally search for the missing teeth after death. This fear was rooted in superstitions about bodily wholeness in the afterlife. Animals, the sun, and ancient gods. In various parts of Europe, teeth were offered to animals, most often mice, which symbolized strength and agility. In some regions, they were thrown into the air. According to some 19th century ethnographers, this may have been a remnant of ancient sun worship or archaic pagan practices. These rituals were more about getting rid of the tooth than exchanging it for something. Myths and magic. European parallels. While direct parallels to the American Tooth Fairy are rare in European folklore, some legends contain familiar motifs. They often focus not on gift givers, but on protectors. Disposing of a tooth served to safeguard the child from magical harm. The belief in witches was especially strong. If a witch found someone's tooth, she could control that person. Thus, a tooth was not merely a body part, but a powerful magical artifact. Tales and superstitions. In Lancashire, England, there is an old legend about a witch named Jenny Greenteeth. This eerie creature was said to dwell in swamps and prey on children who came too close. Parents often used her image to instill fear and encourage obedience in their children. Interestingly, her name and appearance were linked to hygiene. The duckweed in which Jenny hid resembled rot and plaque on teeth, and her name literally translates as green teeth. Thus, the legend became a motivational tool. Children were scared of becoming as filthy as she was unless they brushed their teeth regularly. On the opposite end of mythology is Marantega, a kind old woman from Venice, considered a local variation of the Italian Befana. Like Santa Claus, she brings gifts to children at Christmas, but her role is broader. Some tales suggest she also rewards children when they lose a tooth. While Marantega may not be directly connected to the Tooth Fairy, the parallels are evident. In the US, the mythology surrounding the Tooth Fairy echoes much older rituals meant to protect against supernatural kidnappers, be they trolls, goblins, or fairies. In many cultures, stories tell of magical creatures stealing human infants and replacing them with changelings, altered or enchanted doubles. A gift in exchange for a tooth may have served as a way to appease these beings so they wouldn't take the child. A diversity of beliefs around the world. The appearance of mythical beings associated with baby teeth varies from culture to culture. Around the globe, the Tooth Fairy is imagined in many forms, from winged ladies to animals, spirits, or even trolls. As early as the 13th century, the Islamic philosopher Ibn Abi al-Hadid mentioned a Middle Eastern tradition of tossing a baby tooth toward the sky in the direction of the sun while praying for a strong and healthy replacement to grow. Similar tooth-throwing rituals can be found across many countries. In Turkey, Mexico, and Greece, children throw their teeth onto the roof, while in India, Vietnam, Korea, and the Philippines, there is a specific rule. Upper teeth are thrown down, and lower teeth are thrown up, a symbolic gesture meant to encourage proper growth of the new teeth. However, not all traditions are so kind-hearted. In Norway and Finland, children are frightened by a creature named Hammaspeikko, the tooth troll, who hunts those who are lazy about brushing their teeth. Vikings. Teeth as amulets. Among ancient Scandinavians, Viking warriors had a unique tradition. They wore children's teeth strung on cords as protective amulets. These trophies were thought to bring good luck in battle. Additionally, the first lost tooth of a child was rewarded with a tannfe, a symbolic gift marking the beginning of adulthood. Norway. A glass with a surprise. In Norway, children don't place their teeth under the pillow, but rather drop them into a glass of water left overnight. In the morning, they find a coin at the bottom of the glass. It is believed to be left by an elf named Tannfe. The average reward is about 20 kroner, roughly $2.50. Asia. Roofs and basements. In China, Japan, India, Korea, and Vietnam, children follow specific customs depending on the location of the lost tooth. Lower teeth are thrown onto the roof, while upper teeth are hidden beneath the floor. Afterward, the child must say aloud a request to a mouse, asking for a new tooth, because, as everyone knows, mice have teeth that grow throughout their lives. In some regions of India, the tooth is buried at the base of a large tree. Spain. Roofs instead of pillows. In the Basque country, children do not place their teeth under the pillow. According to ancient custom, they throw their teeth onto the roof. There, they are to be collected by Mari from the rooftop, a mythical being who lives above houses. This tradition traces back to pre-Christian beliefs. Spain. The main tradition. The legend of Pérez. Elsewhere in Spain, children await the visit of a mouse named Pérez, Ratoncito Pérez. The character first appeared in the press in 1877, but gained real fame in 1894, when young King Alfonso XIII lost a tooth and was heartbroken. His mother asked writer Luis Coloma to create a comforting story, thus beginning the legend's popularity. Since then, children in Spain, Mexico, and other Spanish-speaking countries have left their teeth under the pillow and found a coin from Pérez in the morning. In Madrid, the Casa Museo de Ratoncito Pérez, a whole house dedicated to the beloved mouse, welcomes visitors. Argentina. Teeth in a glass. In Argentina, children place their teeth in a glass of water before going to bed. During the night, Raton Pérez comes, drinks the water, takes the tooth, and leaves a coin at the bottom of the now empty glass. This tradition is especially popular in Buenos Aires. Colombia. Teeth for Migueleta. In Colombia, baby teeth are given to a rodent named El Raton Migueleta, who bears a resemblance to Mickey Mouse. Though not officially recognized, many children perceive him that way. Some parents turn the lost teeth into keepsakes by ordering jewelry, such as pendants or rings, made with their children's actual teeth. Turkey. A tooth as a token of the future. In Turkey, lost baby teeth are neither placed under a pillow nor in a glass. Instead, they are buried in the ground. Parents choose a location symbolically, one that represents the child's future aspirations. For example, if the child dreams of becoming a doctor, the tooth might be buried near a clinic. If they dream of a football career, it could be near a stadium or training field. If the dream is to become a firefighter, the tooth might be buried near a fire station. This ritual is believed to help guide the child's destiny. Tajikistan. Teeth of warriors. In Tajikistan, baby teeth are also buried, but with a different belief, that they will grow into brave protectors. According to ancient tradition, this act strengthens the child's future character and grants them courage. Pakistan. Water as a conduit of fortune. In Pakistan, children carefully wrap their lost tooth in a piece of cotton cloth and throw it into a river at sunset. This ritual symbolizes saying farewell to the past and opening the path to a bright future with hopes for luck and good health. Ireland. Searching for the perfect tooth. Irish children believe in Anna Bogle, a cheerful young leprechaun girl. Once she lost her front tooth while playing in the forest and has since been traveling from house to house in search of the perfect replacement. In exchange for a child's baby tooth, she leaves behind a piece of leprechaun gold, although none of the teeth she's found so far has quite suited her. Italy. A saint and a little mouse. Italian children may follow one of two traditions. Some believe that their teeth are collected by Saint Apollonia, the patron saint of dentists. Others follow a more playful legend. A little mouse named Topolino carries the teeth away, much like the French petite souris. Philippines. The wish game. In the Philippines, children have the chance to make 2 wishes. The first is made when the lost tooth is hidden. If, after a year, the child finds the tooth again, they earn the right to make a second wish. It all depends on memory, patience, and belief. Nigeria. Mice as guardians. In Nigeria, children leave the tooth in the attic and ask local mice not to eat it. It is believed that if a mouse gnaws the tooth, a new one will not grow. In another version of the ritual, the child places the tooth along with a certain number of small stones, 6 for girls, 8 for boys, into their palm, tosses them into the air, and runs away as fast as possible. This symbolizes the farewell to early childhood. South Africa. Tooth in a slipper. In South Africa, the tooth is hidden not under a pillow but inside a shoe, usually a slipper. It is believed that this ensures it reaches the right hands, those of a magical being that will bring a gift or good luck. Lithuania. A personal relic. Lithuanian children are in no rush to part with their baby teeth. Instead of giving them away, they keep them as a memento of growing up. Teeth are stored in special boxes or kept in family chests as treasured keepsakes. Estonia, a castle made of teeth. Estonia has a magical legend about the tooth fairy named Hamahaljas. She comes at night and takes the teeth to build a sparkling castle. Before using them, she carefully cleans and polishes each tooth until it shines like a star. As a thank you gift, she leaves the child a few coins. One variation of a protective ritual includes sprinkling salt over the fallen tooth and leaving it beside the bed, either in a dish or a glass. Salt, as a natural preservative and ancient symbol of purity, enhances the magical properties of the tooth. Together, the salt and tooth form a dual protective charm, doubling their power. Another common practice is hiding the tooth under a pillow. This ritual echoes ancient customs where iron objects, like knives, were placed under pillows to ward off evil forces. In folklore, iron is often considered deadly to fairies and other supernatural beings. Thus, the tooth under the pillow not only invited the kind tooth fairy, but also shielded the child from invisible threats. Tooth fairy legends. What you should know. Only a child who has recently lost a baby tooth can summon the tooth fairy. The fresher the loss, the greater the chance of a visit. She usually leaves a coin in exchange, as small objects are easier for her to carry. The tooth fairy lives in hidden places, tree hollows, forest shelters, and caves. She carefully sorts and stores the baby teeth in neat rows, so she always knows where to find a specific incisor. According to folklore, she visits the child over the course of 3 nights to complete the exchange. However, she takes Mondays and Thursdays off. Those are her rest days. On Christmas Eve, teeth must not be gifted. Leaving a tooth out on this night is believed to be fatal to the fairy. Christmas Eve is said to be harmful to beings of pagan origin. As a type of fairy tale creature, the tooth fairy is also vulnerable to metal. In many traditions, iron is a universal ward against evil. That's why cultures across the world used to place iron objects under pillows to drive away malevolent spirits. But such protective measures could also accidentally harm the kind fairy.
If you're interested in ancient stories and legends, subscribe to the channel and enjoy the tales.